How you doing, bro? Hey, wow, girl, got you. See you.
All right, it is 7:50 p.m. We need all of the council members to mark themselves present. We have a quorum. Go back into open session. We need a motion to go back into open session. Motion by the third, second by the second. Can you cast your vote? Motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. First is 6A, approval of minutes dated April 28, 2025. There is a motion by the first and second by the sixth. Is there any debate?
Motion to refer to the legislative committee.
There's a, to refer to minutes. That would be a proper committee for the minutes. But it's one way to settle that without any issue of argument. There's a motion on the floor to send the minutes of April 28, 2025 to the legislative committee. Hold on, but sent to the legislative committees in a second.
Point of order, man.
We're looking for a second.
You said for censor?
You send it back.
Okay, I thought you said censor, I'm sorry. Second.
We have to get the mark it off on you. When you're around. Pass you the second. And we have a motion by the second, and it's seconded by the fourth. So, we will take a vote. Motion failed. So once again, there's a motion on the. So you may ask for votes for the motion to approve the minutes of April 28, 2000.
Point of order, man.
We're in the middle of the vote.
Yeah, we are in the middle of the vote, but you asked us there at debate, Alderman Chapman had a discussion, but I had the debate, and I never got a chance to say that.
You make a motion for the minutes. I tell you what, let's go, we'll just take it back. We'll go back, the chair recognizes the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, it is all the right, I want to say happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
With that being said,
But okay.
all right, okay. Well, that's fine. Well, I'm not in approval of the minutes if it comes to my debate. Is that the minutes don't include everything that actually happened in the meeting, particularly like on May 12th when residents were moved out and moved back in, and everything that happened that went on.
Excuse me, sir, we're talking about April 28th. So are you talking about May 12th, you're talking about May 28th? April 28th. We're on April 28th at this moment.
Okay, actually, okay. Well, regardless of me saying that, okay, no, you're fine, but I'm really saying that when it comes to all of the minutes, you know, we need to have a better procedure, which I suggested before, where I'm not in favor of, because it doesn't never include, there's one thing to have residents, and by the ordinance, you don't have to answer it, they don't need information. But when we're voting on minutes and approval of minutes, this is records that's going to be in the system for years to come. We all know this is going. It'd be nice to show everything that happened, the questions that they asked, their names, and to see if we responded back on their questions or gave them any type of inquiries and things like that. That would be real professional when we approve minutes, so we don't have to worry about forwarding information or anything like that. We just be a professional.
Thank
Thank you
you, sir.
very much. Is there any other debate? Okay, on that note, minutes, so we can, we're also going to be working on the May 12th and June 9th as well. Minutes, as it already been established, minutes do not have to be verbatim. That's number one. Minutes do not have to be verbatim. That is not only in this particular body, that is in other city councils, other councils as well. And courts have also recognized that minutes do not have to be verbatim. So that's number one. Two, is if someone has an issue, even though they don't have to be verbatim, we do have a verbatim recording as well. So if someone wants to go back and see, for instance, look at a particular part of the meeting, they can still do that as well. But minutes do not have to be verbatim. We have actually discussed that on and addressed that on some occasions. We're addressing it again, but I just wanted to make it clear, and I want to make it clear for the council and ordinance as well. That has been long established before this administration, before the previous administration, and say, for instance, 5 administrations prior to that. So, that being said, the debate is not closed.
Gotcha. Miami girl.
You ready to take the vote? You can cast your vote. Motion carries. Next item is 6B, the approval of minutes for May 12, 2025. There's a motion by seconded by First. Is there any debate? Hearing none, you may cast your votes. Motion carries. And his next item is a motion to approve minutes dated June 9th, 2025. There's a motion by the third and a second by the first. Is there any debate? Hearing none. You can cast your vote. Motion carried. Next item is the approval of bills. 7A, which is dated May 26, 2025, is there a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
No, Mayor, there's no recommendation for the bills at this time. We decided we were going to do it. Makes any sense. The second bills just came out today.
So let me make sure I'm getting it clear for the record. You're postponing the vote on the 26th, no recommendation, because you're going to meet at another date.
Take care of all of them.
Oh. So we'll go to 7B, though, for the record. 7B, June 23rd, 2025, is there a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
Go ahead, Mayor.
So we'll continue that until our next meeting. That brings us to 8. The motion was adopted, I guess.
Point of order.
Chair recognizes the second word.
Will there be discussion for, I know you reference the finance committee, but as a whole body, we have opportunity for discussion about 2636.
No, that's in the Finance Committee. That's where that will be taking place.
If I may just ask, what will the finance committee be held?
And that brings us to number 8, which is the treasurer's report. Now, as all the persons see, as I mentioned in our last meeting, the Treasurer's Committee made a report which is titled Monthly Summary of Bank Accounts. Okay. And not only did I present it, tell the council about it, I also told the Williams, and it was our plan for it to be on today's meeting. This is what was supposed to happen. One is the treasurer's report was supposed to be presented to the comptroller. It was presented to the comptroller. And the comptroller gave a report, to be clear, that is included, and it's included in the packet. However, in my opinion, and this is entirely up to you guys, that report did not reconcile with the treasurer's report in any shape, form, or fashion, honestly. So, because it did not reconcile with the treasurer's report, I had the comptroller to create a more reconcilable report that could be presented to the council. The difficulty that we're having right now is that the Finance Committee did not have a finance meeting, which is where the report was supposed to go to. Okay? So because the Finance Committee was supposed to have a meeting, and then the meeting did not happen, technically, we can't present the treasurer's reports at the time, because they both need to be reconciled. Okay? You can take a look at the reports themselves, you can see that there's some discrepancies as far as the reports are concerned. So the finance committee needs to have that, that meeting. However, that being said, so that everybody can understand and be clear, it is still up to the members, yes, it's still up to the members as far as whether you want to go ahead and address these issues now in this section, or if you want to wait until you can actually review it and go over it in the finance committee meeting. And that would be determined by you. I saw a hand, so I would recognize the fifth line. The council would make the decision. So if it is it, right. No, just like when you just came to the minutes and the alderwoman of the second ward made a motion to send it to legislative committee, we already know that this should go before the finance committee. We already know that. But you're the council, so you can change it and say you want to address it now, or you want to address it in committee. It's entirely up to you guys.
Second.
Well, there's a motion to see the finance committee. Okay. So, hold on one second. And while we're getting this done, we're waiting for the person that this is happening, and it'll hopefully put us on a better and a straighter path in the future.
Can I confirm the second?
Second and fourth ward. Fourth, not. No, the first ward made the motion. Fourth ward was the second. So, we have a motion by the first and second by the fourth. There's no debate on this issue, so you need to cast your vote. All right, so the motion carries. So this will be sent to the sent to the finance committee for presentation and the next finance meeting. Should recognize the second ward. I heard a point of order.
Yes.
What's the point of order?
We didn't have discussion on this motion second.
Right, it's a preemptive motion, it doesn't stand for the bill.
Yeah, I make a recommendation to that.
No, not at this particular point in time, there was a point of order that's improper for the point of order. We'd like to discuss it at some other time, but not at this particular point in time, that we can see that. Okay? All right, next item, so that's once again, that's sent it to the finance committee, our next, we present our next finance meeting. If there's anything that anyone needs in between that time, please contact the treasurer or the comptroller so that you can have whatever required information. Next item on the agenda is 9, the approval of ordinances and resolutions for the city of Harvey. 9A, old business, and 9B, new business. Motion to B1, motion to approve the release is a settlement agreement between Zakaris and others versus the city of Harvey. This motion authorizes the agreed upon settlement lawsuit Title 1, Zakaris and Giovanni Infante Munoz versus the city of Harvey and George Lockett Jr., case number 24L66062. There's a motion by the third and a second by the fifth. Shouldn't be any debate at all, I say anyway. Hearing none, you may cast your vote. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the 292, is a resolution approving an automatic aid agreement between the villages of Vernon, Calumet City, Country Club Hills, Dalton, East Hazelcrest, Flossmoor, Glenwood, Harvey, Hazelcrest, Homewood, Lansing, Linwood, Markham, Matson, should I say Matheson, Munster, Old Forest, Park Forest, Phoenix, Richmond Park, Riverdale, South Holland, Thornton, and Tinley Park. This resolution authorizes cooperating municipalities and directs their respective fire chiefs or designee to take necessary and proper action to render and/or request automatic aid from other cooperating municipalities according to the terms of this agreement. I have a motion by the third, and a second by the first. Is there any debate? Hearing none, you may cast your vote. Motion carries.
This resolution number 4008, 4008.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Number 10, public comment is encouraged and appreciated. This is the only opportunity for the public to address the city council on agenda items and any other city-related business. In order to accomplish all business on the agenda and be respectful of everyone's time, council members will not engage in dialogue with individual members of the ordinance, and no immediate action will be taken on any public comment issue. Public comment will be limited to minutes. No speaker may donate his or her time to another speaker. Comments shall be courteous and respectful at all times. No person may use public comment for the purpose of campaigning or advertising. This is not a question and answer time, and council cannot engage in conversation with the public. Questions and concerns about operations should be addressed with city staff during regular business hours. So I'd like to note again that comments shall be courteous and respectful at all times. I want to bring this up because it seems like, unfortunately, that the venom and vitriol has escalated to proportions where people are mounting personal attacks at each other. We would like you not to do that. However, you have a First Amendment right to say certain things, so if you choose to do so, that's fine. I also want to make sure that I want to make sure that the audience understands, and those who are watching, that just because someone may choose to make a personal attack does not mean that that is true. Just because someone may decide to make a comment that is, positioned whether positive or negative, does not mean that it's necessarily true. However, we are protected by the First Amendment, so, people can, to a certain degree, still there's no fire in the crowd theater and stuff like that. But to a certain degree, can make the comments the way they want to make. That being said, I will read the first name and then we will move on to the next one to follow. So the first one of the comments is Amanda Askew, followed by Glennis James Watson.
Good evening, everyone. So, a few things. During the comments about the treasurer's report, you mentioned about the monthly summary of bank accounts report and then getting reconciled. My concern and suggestion is that the next finance committee meeting, which I hope will translate into the next city council meeting, that not only will there be a monthly summary of the bank accounts report, but there will also be an update about the missing audits. The last finance committee meeting that I attended in first quarter of 2025, which is March 24th, Comptroller Mr. Williams mentioned that in first quarter of this year, we were just now paying the accounting firm for the Spirit for the 2022 audit. So I think it's important to have an update about that because again, we're still not in compliance with the state of Illinois because we're still 3 years behind on the audits. So it is my hope that at the next finance committee meeting, which leads on to the next city council meeting, that there will be an update about that audit or hopefully a completed audit for at least the year 2022 because we also still need the audits for 23 and 24 as well. My second concern was today before I came to the meeting starts at 7 p.m. and at the last meeting I attended, the doors were open and the public was able to come in at 6:30 or between 6:30 and 6:40. I arrived here at 6:08 because I thought the finance committee meeting was today. Unfortunately, it was not. So I left and came back. I entered the building at 6:38 because the front door was open because this is a public building. And unfortunately, I was met with a little bit of resistance. Now, what concerns me is that it's 90 degrees outside today. It's an excessive heat warning, and the doors were locked and people was outside. I spoke with 4 officers, including the chief of police, to plead for the residents to be allowed in because it is excessive heat. And I'm thinking that it's a lot of officers that are here that crowd control can be maintained. And I just implore you all to think about that the next time there's a city council meeting, to allow the residents to come in and not stand in the heat. Because there's a good majority of our residents that are seniors that may have walking or cane or may not be able to handle the heat. So again, it's inhumane to allow the public to stand outside, although the meeting did not start at 7. It is still, you still should be able to enter the building and you can at least start a line. They may not be able to enter the chambers, but they still should be able to enter the building and form a line before the meeting gets started. I'm sorry, it's 90-something degrees outside and that is inhumane. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Linda James Watson, followed by Chantel Hooks.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es James Watson. Vivo en el primer ward. Mis comentarios esta noche están en español para que traiga atención al hecho de que 35.2% de los residentes de Harvey son latinos y hay mucha gente que solo habla español. Sin embargo, no creo que la ciudad de Harvey tenga algo en español. Las formas, la revista, la cuenta y el inserto y la website, todo solamente en inglés. La única cosa que ha visto en español es noticias de las reuniones de primer ward de la señora Drinsky. Digo esto porque es importante que los 6,848 latinos en Harvey es el incluido y tienen voz en la que está ocurriendo en Harvey. No es difícil hacer las cosas accesibles ahora. Hay apps por todo. Necesitamos las voces y ideas de toda la gente en Harvey. Gracias. Ahora este mensaje se repetirá en inglés. Good evening. My name is Glennis James Watson. I live in the first ward. My comments tonight are in Spanish to draw attention to the fact that 35.2% of Harvey residents are Latino, and there are many people who only speak Spanish. However, I don't believe that the city of Harvey has anything in Spanish. The forms, the magazine, the bill and the insert, and the website, and even la copia del alcalde is in inglés. The mayor's cup is in English. Not football, competition is in English. The only thing that I have seen in Spanish are notices about Mr. Ritzky's first ward meeting. I say all of this because it's important that the 6,848 Latinos in Harvey are included, need to be included and have a voice in what is happening in the city. It's not difficult to make things accessible now. There are apps everywhere for everything. We need the voices and ideas of all the people in Harvey. Thank you.
Next we have Chappelle Oaks, followed by Ms. Irvin.
Good evening, Harvey. A lot been going on. I have an issue with these elected officials having their little Facebook or social media aliases, and they get on and they threaten and harass residents. You know, like every time there's an election or campaign can come around, Cookie Ross tends to pop up on social media, on Facebook, wants to threaten people and talk crazy and all of that. But I know there's nothing ever happens to Cookie Ross. But maybe Cookie Ross is one of our elected officials. But I see, your goons, homeboy back there, homeboy over there, came and took a constituent into custody for an investigation. For what? Stuff that was said on social media, Facebook, because you got other people threatening them. Why Cookie Ross ain't being held for a question? Oh, maybe because she's sitting here at your county. Also, when are we going to have a mid-board meeting? Well, we haven't had one in what, about 2-3 years? Okay, I'll call you. Because, we're blind to a lot of things that's going on in the community, and in our city, we don't have any updates, no treasury report. That was slick. I like the way you reverse that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, what's his name? That sit up there, we pay him, I don't know what, $300 an hour to sit there. He don't say nothing. He don't say nothing. He don't correct nothing. He don't, anything that's questionable in the council, he don't say nothing. He just sit there. Y'all can't question him because the mayor said so. What are we paying him for? I can sit there and say, that's right. And, y'all costing us money. Y'all saying that we all this millions in debt, but look what's happening. That's where the money going right there. Y'all talking about properties and stuff, it's right there. That's where that money going, the bills, right there.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Irvin, followed by Ryan Simwelski.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Urban, former trustee of the Harvey Public Library, 2015 to 2021. I'd just like to piggyback on some of the things that Alderman Chapman was trying to say, where she was kind of running out and stopped from getting to. That April 28th meeting was quite turbulent, and a lot of things happened. And I've got a problem with those minutes that are collected for that report. It's all concentrated on when the policeman attacked her and were throwing her around and pushing her and dragging her out of the building, but nothing was mentioned about the 3 encounters when she was trying to ask questions about what you guys were voting on and how the Robert's Rule of Order was violated and the Open Meetings Act was violated. None of that was concentrated on. Everything jumped from the beginning all the way to the middle. Not even from the beginning, it just jumped right to the middle. And everybody's been riding that, the media's been riding that, and the minutes, that's what's being reflected right now. You can generalize too much, okay? You don't have to put word for word like you said verbatim, but you need to refer to what happened. 3 times she asked questions, 3 times you shut her down, violating Robert's Rule of Order, and then you got mad and then you had her arrested. That's what she's talking about, okay? So you all do need to correct your minutes and make them right, because it's hard to get information from the city of Harvey. Through FOIAs, freedom of information, you may not get it at all. And some people are even suing the city because they can't get the information, and they have a right to, okay? Now, the Treasury report, 6 years. It took y'all 6 years to figure out this process. That's just blowing my mind, okay? If I was on drugs, I probably would deal with this a little bit better. I mean, really. Look, the month ends, there's a cutoff, there's an account balance. You report that, okay? You all got your days mixed up. Mr. Williams, what day are you taking your report from? It's not the same day that she's taking hers from. You may not be able to get pinpointed penny for penny, but we want a general idea of what's going on in the city. And this to the finance committee, and they didn't know nothing about it, and that was 2 weeks ago from the last meeting. Y'all dragging. You got to do better than this. You got to do better. You know, and always remember, y'all, prayer without works means nothing. You can stand up here and pray all you want, but it's your actions that count. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, that prayer goes nowhere. It doesn't get off the ground, okay? Y'all remember that. It ain't what they say, watch what they do, okay? It ain't how nice the prayer is. Watch what they do, and then you really have a full vision of what's going on in our city. Thank you.
Next we have Ryan Sinwelski, followed by Irene Fagan.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Gay Pride Month in Harvey. I'm happy to fly the rainbow flag here in Harvey as a symbol that everyone is welcome. So you can see it from my house. Yes, I know it's big. Maybe one of the large ones you see, but I feel that's very important. Starting as the ideal factory town in 1891, Harvey has welcomed countless families of all backgrounds. So sometimes people are we get a little scared by one new group or another moving in, but I just want to remind everybody, as someone who was part of the Historical Society, we've always had new, fresh groups of people moving in. So this diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. I have a vision for a vibrant Harvey where we care for people instead of harassing them, arresting them, finding them, and extorting them. How about we fix up our old buildings instead of demolishing them? Make them so they can house new families and new businesses. Instead of extorting businesses, let's help them get tax relief and grants so they can thrive. Instead of threatening people who volunteer to beautify Harvey, let's support and recognize their efforts. In the spirit of pride, let's get some openness and answers. I just have a few questions. Why is our elected treasurer still locked out of the city books? If nothing is being done wrong, that really does not sound right to me. Why do we have no meeting packets or finance info put online for people to see ahead of time? Why was Harvey resident Melissa Crawley suddenly arrested today in front of her home where she was on live video? Why is Mayor Clark sending people around the city to harass and bully his critics on private property with the illegal protection of our tax-supported Harvey Police Department officers and resources? Where are the receipts for the millions of dollars given for demolition, repairing of our fire hydrants. Where are the receipts for college security detail? For all dramatic expense accounts? Where are the public crime updates? Why are we have all these unsolved murders? I support dispensaries, but why did Mayor Clark bully the business on Halsted out of his building and replace him with another outside business without consulting residents? That was not right. Finally, I know Glynis mentioned the issue of translation. We need translations for our Spanish-speaking residents. More than a third of our city is Spanish-speaking. And last but not least, why did the mayor and his associates take more time talking about or making up lies about my sex life and Chappelle's tax paying status and what Colby does in city council? What does that have to do with anything?
Next we have Irene Finn.
Hello, my name is Irene Finn. I've been in Harvey for 60 years. I've been a homeowner for 49 years. I know Harvey is beautiful. Yes, there was a long time ago. But it gets better than it was a couple years ago. It's a progress been made in Harvey. You see how many divorces? Without average, 150. Of course, I can walk and walk. What sidewalk? The hot sidewalk. Home in the box, graphic cut. The mayor, Clark. And in the administration, done a pretty good job. It ain't what it used to be, it ain't what everybody wanted to be, but there's been progress made. And I think that, Mr. Mayor Clark, keep up the good work. Oh, you don't. I can get in touch with my own. Mario, I need the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. That was interesting. Next is mayoral comment.
Educated conscience, why would I say that?
Sorry. I might pray too, and I actually might post some scripture, so those who might catch my fire. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. Thank you, council, for the work that you have done. It's very appreciated. I think that we have once again, we are making some progress in the right direction. And so, you know, it may take us a little time to get there, and we are not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. So, I'm going to address a few issues, Spanish versus English. Yes, first of all, thank you for the advertisement regarding Mayor's Cup. Mayor's Cup is the 29th this month. No, it's not in Spanish, it's true. But for some odd reason, it don't stop the Spanish-speaking people from attending that event, because it is now an event. Okay, yes. sponsors, and we had some of everybody come out. How many people we had last time, approximately, as far as players? Over 1,000? Yeah, it's an event. And so, but the thing about it is also, let me make sure that this is clear. Mayor's Cup is not just for Spanish-speaking people. You know, there are other people who will participate as well. It is a fantastic event. I am extremely proud of it. I'm extremely proud of the fact that what the team does to put it together. And I'm also extremely proud of our sponsors who support what we're trying to do. I want to basically point out for Alderwoman Drewinski that, yeah, she puts her notices in Spanish, and she also brings up quite often the possibility of putting other things in Spanish where we can. We have supported the community, and we will continue to support the community. And I think that as far as this particular administration is concerned, this is probably one of the most diverse administrations that we've seen in a long time here in the city of Harvey. We have representation from all walks of life here in this administration. And once again, I'm not proud of it. We are proud of it. So, now as far as Facebook is concerned, and social media, y'all got to take, those who have problems with Facebook or whatever's going on with Facebook, you got to take it up with Mark Zuckerberg, okay? And if you got a problem with what's going on with Google, you can take that up with whatever I can't even pronounce the Russian name. You can take that up with them. We don't control Facebook, we don't control Google, we don't control YouTube, we don't control any of those social platforms. We only control the things that we can control. If somebody, you know, it's funny because, you know, freedom of speech is a real funny creature. Because one's freedom of speech is okay, but another's freedom of speech is not. You know, you have the ability to say what you want to say, but then others don't have the ability to say what they want to say and do what they want to do. And that's the American dynamic. That's our experiment. You know, that's the thing where we the people, you know what I'm saying, in order to form a more perfect union. That's the experiment that we have, is that we have competing interests as far as what the law says. We have competing interests as far as what our rights are. And sometimes my rights might infringe on yours, yours might infringe on mine. There's a balance here. And we have to learn how to do that. But the one thing that we can do, regardless of what the First Amendment says, because this is one thing that's not in the Declaration of Independence, and it's not in the Constitution. I don't know if George Washington making power. It's civility. Stability isn't written in any of that. And some of the biggest problems that we're having have nothing to do with what is or is not legal, you know, or even what it is or is not right. Because, you know, there's not a world where everyone agrees on every single thing. But the ability to be civil with each other is extremely important. That is what separates us. That is what distinguishes us. And that is the part that's not written, that for some odd reason we have the most difficulty dealing with. So whether it is on any of the social media platforms, like I said, we can't control that. I hope that some of you who are in the audience and also those who watch by video pay attention to our first meeting of the month where we give the staff reports, because those staff reports are chock full of information. You know, at times I may hear people say something regarding the city, like unsolved crimes and things of that nature. And I'm scratching my head because I'm saying, well, the police department just gave a report on the whole thing, you know? And so that to me means that maybe nobody's really listening or paying attention. But whether you choose to pay attention or not is entirely up to you. But the information is available, and I'm proud of the team for doing the work that they do. And I'm proud for how they have advanced themselves as far as the reports are concerned. And those reports are only getting better. And for those who don't walk in the room looking at us with what they call a jaundiced eye, you can see that some of those things are happening and the city is moving forward. It means people over here are working like never before. So that's what happens with that. Now, little story. I like a little story. So why did the mayor use a building for a dispensary and take it away from another company that was using that building? You know, this is the stuff that honestly that the public really doesn't know. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't tell you. And I'll explain to you why I don't. Because if I told you every single thing that was going on in the previous administration, we'd be here for the next 4 years. You really would. When WGN and Bill Bradley came in 2019 and first presented the boxes that were all stacked up in the basement, that was all over the place, okay, I was hoping that people would pay attention and see the condition that your city was in. When I tell people that we were $164 million in debt, I was hoping that grown-ups would say, that's a big number. You know, and that's not the type of number that you just get rid of in a year or 4 years. That's, unfortunately, that is debt that is going to outlive probably everybody in this room. Okay, God willing, and the creek don't rise. That's what's going to happen. Because $164 million in debt for a municipality that has a 52% tax collection rate and 35% of its money is being taken by the state comptroller's office, that makes a heck of a difference. And I'm thinking that people who say they love our city would not just go off of their emotions, but would also go off the facts. Now let me give you a fact. Tires R Us, which is where which is the business where the now tax-paying, okay, law-abiding cannabis dispensary is going to go. When we came in, we found out that Tires R Us was actually paying taxes, not paying taxes, paying rent to somebody else. It was a city-owned building. But Tires R Us wasn't paying us, they was paying it to somebody else. Who were they paying it to, man? You might ask that question. Where were they sending the money? Well, you got to ask them. Because we weren't getting it, and we did not have a valid lease with them, because there was no lease that was agreed upon by the city council. So somebody was occupying a city building. They were operating a business out of that city building. Okay? The city was not getting paid for them operating that city building, and they were paying that money to someone else. some mysterious person out there. And they weren't paying taxes. But they're not the only one. They're not the only one. This story can be repeated over and over again. When we got in here, we had a box full of keys. Those keys belonged to homes, single-family homes that were owned in the city. Those homes were being rented out to people, not by the city, by random mysterious people. So if they could find say for instance, a single parent with children and get them to agree to go ahead and move into this house and pay them in cash, they got paid. Now, imagine doing that not one time, but 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, and you're paying, say for instance, $1,000 a month. That's what was going on when we got the box. Okay, we didn't come back to you and tell you about it, we just stopped it, am I right? We stopped it. Every time we found out about it, we stopped it. There are other commercial properties, and some of you might have heard of commercial property on 147th Street where Bob Watson is. That man came up in here talking about how the city was treating him wrong when he was squatting on city property. And the city moved to get him off the property. Okay? But wait. He sued us. He sued the city of Harvey for trying to put him off of the property that he was squatting on. Got a restraining order against the city because the city was trying to put him off the property that he was squatting on. So then we had to go through legal gymnastics for years and years and years. And these are things that didn't take place, didn't happen during this administration. They were already in place prior to this administration. But even though they were in place prior to this administration, it seemed like nobody had anything to say. Yeah, he dumping oils and dumping oil. Well, he wasn't just dumping oil over there at Bob Watson in the sewers. He was also dumping oil at American Kitchen on 154 and right off of Dixie. And he dumped so much oil that it blocked up the sewers. Am I correct? And the state had to come out. Well, we're not going to be here forever. And the simple fact is, there were people making money off of this city by not having people pay their proper taxes. There were people that were making money off of this city by not having them follow the law and follow the process. I have several friends that have said that they would hate to go downstairs in the building inspectional services because if somebody calls them out of the line, that means they're going to have to pay for something. So that's what was going on in the city. And so with Tires R Us, what we did was we found a viable business. It all about the taxpayer, corporate citizen, to come in. And we will receive property taxes and sales taxes from that business, which is what every city needs in order to run. The lights don't come on by themselves. And unfortunately, we don't have, as the comptroller said, we don't have $10,000 issues. We got $10 million issues. We're trying to still figure out what to do with the unpaid water bill that wasn't paid by the previous administration. We're still trying to figure out how to deal with that issue. We've gone through the, what's her name? the Lightfoot administration, and now we're into the current administration. You see how many people with it, I don't even people with the names. Johnson administration, to try to figure out how we can get that rectified. That's a $25, $26 million issue. Okay, that's not about y'all bought new pens, so y'all got money. No, that's a $26 million issue. $164 million is hard to wind down. But that being said, I do agree. And that's the hard part that people can't understand. I do agree with some of the sentiments. I just try to be politically mature about it. But it doesn't mean that I don't agree. I'm with you. Whoever said what they said about the artists, I'm with you. Okay? And I've been putting foot in back as far as the artists are concerned. Artists aren't just the same, it's just as simple as saying, hey, look at this, see this? I wish it was. And can we do better? Yes. But once again, it was 5 years behind, nobody had anything to say. Catching up, getting there, and we continue working on the result. The fact that somebody mentioned Kasparik's name means that we haven't ordered it. They said it in the public domain. We haven't ordered it. The auditor is working on the audits. And as soon as we get done, we'll have a meeting, and I really hope and pray that we have just as much of a crowd here when it happens. We have not, and I'm going to say this again, there was 3 things, and I don't know what the 3 things were. We have not brought up the tax status for Chappelle Hooks. Chappelle Hooks got up there herself and flexed and said that she didn't pay her taxes. We didn't say that. That was not said from here. And honestly, at the end of the day, as far as the day is concerned, we're not going to say anything more aggressive. And then as far as running sexuality, brother, you need to go talk to somebody. Because if you got ashamed, you say you're prideful, then be proud of who you are. Plain and simple. Because we've never said anything about his sexuality. Absolutely nothing. But for some odd reason, that keeps coming out because that's a dog whistle to try to get other people from the LGBTQ community to come on board and vote and fight against an issue that's not an issue. The reason why Ryan is an issue is because of Ryan. They got nothing to do with sexuality. So we never addressed that, and I don't necessarily appreciate that, you know what I'm saying, those words being put in my mouth, and I addressed the issue 2 weeks ago. My views didn't change. My views remain the same as far as the LGBTQ plus community. And they will continue to remain the same. So on that note, I will say happy Pride Month, but also happy Black Music Month too. Okay. So, that being said, go Shawty, it's your birthday. Go Shawty, it's your birthday. Go Shawty, it's your birthday. I'm wishing myself a happy birthday. And I just want to know, you know what, God has given me another opportunity to, as somebody said, go around the sun. I am, oh my God, ever so grateful. And I am ever so grateful for all of you. There's this movie that I like, I really, really like. I'm not gonna say what the movie is, but in the movie, the gentleman is having his birthday party. And he's having his birthday party, and he says in his birthday party that all of you are here. And we may not have had a perfect relationship. And there are times that we didn't see eye to eye. and they have been, there have been ups and downs. But for this moment in time, we are together. And so regardless of who you are, and whether we agree or we don't agree, or all of those things, I just want you to know that I love and appreciate you. Okay? And I appreciate you that I'm here to look at each and every last one of you. Okay? Because yes, I'm going to go into it. God is an awesome God. Okay? And I'm here to tell you, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be? And so, with that being said, if there's nothing else good for the good of the morning, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by the fifth, second by the first. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing none, we stand adjourned at 8:53. Everyone have a great week and great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.
Brother. God bless you. Appreciate you, man. All right. Ooh, that was good. I like it.
My recommendation earlier, what I did is I recommended that you have two parking. There's no way we can codify treasurer's report, control report.
Hey, Sid.
What's going on? Nathaniel, who's this? Yeah.
All right, brother. How we going, brother? Appreciate you. All right, y'all, that's it. Harvey City Council meeting. Try to get there on time next time. Let's see who we got in the chat. I see Wyoming Girl, Tracy N, Raging Cajun, Conscious in the building. Appreciate y'all checking in. I'm headed home. Appreciate y'all checking in. God bless you. May it continue to keep you. Don't take no wooden nickels. And don't let Satan run your life. Trust in God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. and he will direct your path. Amen. God bless y'all. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, we gone. If you need your car worked on, that's us right there. All right, y'all. God bless. Thank you, Wine Girl. I see you, Trina. Hey, I'm sorry I called you while you was on live. I didn't know you was live. I just wanted to ask you a question. I'll call you tomorrow. All right, we is gone, y'all. Harvey World, Church on the Move.